What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to be talking to you about the new album from the band Septicflesh, entitled Codex Omega. This is released on Prosthetic Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of Athens, Greece, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very occult, gothic, symphonic style of death metal. Yeah. When it comes to extreme music out of Greece, I would say a band like Septicflesh have really earned their stripes and have made a very, very symbolic and important name for themselves in the realms of extreme metal. I mean, this is a band that has put out some absolutely phenomenal material throughout the past 20 plus years or so. Notably, in my opinion, this band's first three full-lengths, Mystic Places of Dawn, Espotron, and Ophidian Wheel. Both really phenomenal examples of the early Greek Hellenic sort of style in their music. Really amazing vocals, just a lot of great pomp and circumstance on those albums. But it wasn't until the 2000s in which we got the more modernized and contemporary sort of sound of Septicflesh, with what I would consider to be two of their absolute best works. 2003's Sumerian Demons and 2008's Communion. I absolutely love the hell out of the Communion, and I consider it to be their magnum opus and masterpiece. Even the album they put out in 2011 with The Great Mass was a nice continuation of how things were on that record. What I love about Septicflesh is they're one of those symphonic metal bands that don't really have to rely on heavy keyboard usage or just cheesiness or fakeness. They actually use a real symphonic orchestra with actual people playing horns and flutes and violins and everything. It's just so theatrical and so over the top, but that's what makes the current era of Septicflesh work. I really enjoyed those particular albums, especially Communion. That album is still amazing to me to this very day. But yeah, we move on to this new full-length album. This is their 10th full-length album, and this is a follow-up to their 2015 album entitled Titan. Now, I'm not going to lie, I enjoyed that record at first, but over time, I've really lost interest in it. I really didn't see that much pulling power coming from it. It pretty much felt like the typical sort of Septicflesh formula, but something about it, I just haven't really returned to it all that much. Don't know why, but I just don't get the same feelings that I did when once I had first listened to it back then. So when there was going to be a new full-length album, I was ready to give it a shot and see what happens. And now here we are with Codex Omega. It's 10 tracks, and it clocks in at around 47 minutes in length. And unlike Titan, I would say this album definitely has more of the appeal and the pulling power to keep me interested in paying attention, because this is definitely leaps and bounds better than Titan on many, many fronts, many aspects and features. I think this is a little bit of a bounce back for Septicflesh, in my opinion. Pretty much musically, if it's what you normally would expect from a band like Septicflesh, pretty much up-to-date, contemporary, and modern sort of sounds when it comes to the music, but I think it's very, very well played. I think it starts off, it takes a bit to get started, but once you get to the track Third Testament, Codex Omega, you get some really, really stellar guitar playing going on here. You get a lot of really deep, chuggy sort of riffs going on with that particular song, and then later tracks like Martyr, Enemy of Truth, and Faceless Queen, you get some very, very well established and elaborate sort of guitar riffs going on with those songs. It's very well played and very meticulously done. Good bass tone throughout too, very well established, and definitely something to hold the majority of the guitar riffs that are dominating this entire record. When it comes to the drums, this is the first album to include their new drummer, Krim. He's a very, very well-established and well-regarded sort of drummer. Very, very well-known drummer, but this is his first official full-length album with Septicflesh, and I think he does a tremendous job here. He definitely maintains the pace and keeps things moving at a very steady pace, especially for some of the more lengthier, elaborate tracks that are going on with this particular album. He does a really good job with the drumming, really good fills, a lot of emphasis on blast beats, which of course is what you would normally expect from a Septicflesh release, is a lot of blast beats parts, The fills are very good too. Definitely good tempo going for this drum performance. It's pretty much what you would expect out of Septicflesh drum performances. Pretty clean, pretty modernized, but I think it gets the job done here. And the symphonic aspects of this album are definitely something that'll hold your attention. Definitely what I appreciate a lot about Septicflesh, I know I've already said this, but the symphonics are natural. They're genuine. They feel right. They definitely come in when they need to come in. It doesn't feel distracting, and I definitely think it holds your attention very nicely. And when it comes to the vocals, it's pretty much the usual Septicflesh dual vocal routine. You get harsh growls and sung vocals. Seth is one of my favorite extreme metal vocalists. He has such a recognizable guttural sort of growl. I love his vocal style. He really does a tremendous job here doing the growls and just being a monstrous sort of vocalist. I've always appreciated Seth's vocals. And there's a lot of clean singing this time around, but you don't really get a lot of it until like the second half of this record. That's where I think things start to falter just a tiny little bit when it comes to the emphasis of clean singing. It's not too distracting, but I feel that some of the clean singing parts could have been a little bit better. I think when you hear our tracks like Faceless Queen and the Gospels of Fear, things do get to become a little bit better. But yeah, I can't help but feel a little bit biased towards Seth's vocals. I love his growls a lot. I love the harsh vocals more than I do the clean singing, to be perfectly honest. But hey, that's what Septicflesh has to do nowadays. But yeah. Overall, like I said, way better album than Titan. I think Codex Omega definitely improves upon what I feel was lacking on the previous record. But it's not a perfect record by any means. There are some faltering moments here and there, but if you're a fan of Septicflesh, if you're a fan of particularly their current era, I think this is a pretty solid listen. I don't think it holds a candle to Communion or Sumerian Demons, but I think Septicflesh are still doing things the way they know how to do it and make things fun and theatrical and over the top. So if I had to think of any personal favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Third Testament, Martyr, Enemy of Truth, Faceless Queen, The Gospels of Fear. Those are some definite highlights for me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave you some links in the description boxes how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will leave you links to the songs Third Testament and Enemy of Truth. There are multiple tracks going on YouTube. I may pick one or the other. We'll see what I decide to put in here. And I will also leave you links to where you can purchase physical copies. It's available as a double CD with a bonus disc of additional orchestral tracks and 12-inch vinyl. Season of Mist also put this out internationally if you want to buy it there. Yeah, so again, the album is Codex Omega by Septicflesh. This is released on Prosthetic Records. Definitely check this out. And for a score, I'm going to give this a pretty strong 8 out of 10. Solid release from Septicflesh here. So if you guys happen to have heard this album, definitely let me know what you think about it, how you feel about it, and how you think it compares to previous Septicflesh releases, or any of you guys into Septicflesh. Let me know. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks a lot for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel. Until the next time, Armijo out.